Hi, I'm Riley.
And I'm Ryder. And this is my dad's show.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox with the Quarterback Dadcast. I want to say thanks to all of our listeners, thanks to all of our sponsors for all your support. We are continuing to enjoy this journey together, inspiring dads, but I want to take a minute now to talk about Acme Homes. You've heard me talk about them before, but I'm going to talk about them again. Bob Cumming, former college teammate, amazing leader, amazing home builder. They continue to take so much pride in the work they do, the craftsmanship, the attention to detail. Whether you're looking for a home up in Monroe, up in Sultan, up in Wenatchee, this is where they're doing their amazing things. So many people during the pandemic, as we have the ability to work from home, have decided to move out of the city to try to find homes where there's more acreage. Well, that's exactly what Bob and team at Acme Homes give you. So check out Valley Vista up in Monroe. Check out Daisy Meadows out in Sultan. And if you want to even go to Eastern Washington, check out Sienna Heights in Wenatchee. They're, again, amazing craftsmanship, amazing floor plans. You can visit them at acmehomeswa.com. And if you're interested in learning specifically about listings or mortgage opportunities, contact Jen at 425-308-8082 or Denise at 425-309-2318. So now, why are we doing a new ad? Because we want to talk about a partnership they have with Portage Bank. Kevin Jensen is one of the great lenders over there. He's the senior vice president. He's going to take care of you. And right now, if you obtain a mortgage through Portage Bank, Bob and team at Acme Homes are going to pay your $500 appraisal fee. I said that right. They're going to pay your $500 appraisal fee by buying a home through them, getting your mortgage through the folks at Portage Bank. So don't wait. Now's the time to contact Jen, contact Denise. Again, Jen's number is 425-308-8082. And again, Denise is at 425-309-2318.
So visit acmehomeswa.com right now to go visit and learn about your next new home.
Well, hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox with the Quarterback Dadcast, and we are welcoming everybody back again to season 3. It is we are in April. This episode will come out in a few months, but as always, I'm dedicating season 3 to my father, Big Mike Jacox, who passed away on December 29th of 2021. Rest in peace, Pops. And every time I say that, I just start laughing in my mind, not because he passed away, because that's be a bad thing, but just like he brings a smile to my face and just the shenanigans and sarcasm of life that he taught me that now I'm passing down to his grandchildren, and I'm paying for it. But put that aside, our next guest is a gentleman by the name of Chris Hixson. He's the founder of QBIQ, a pre-snap reading system. And this is a chance for me as a former collegiate quarterback to go straight Uncle Rico and talk stories. This gentleman spent some time actually in my neck of the woods. He went to, I think, Eastside Catholic High School, if I have my data correct, to Rhode Island. Spent some time in the NFL, I think teased a little bit in some camps, but then spent time in the Arena League. We're going to learn what the heck this Golden Helmet Award is too. But more importantly, we're going to talk to Chris about life as a dad and how he's working hard to become that ultimate quarterback of his household. So without further ado, Mr. Hixson, welcome to the Quarterback Dadcast.
Casey, appreciate it, man. Just I love the point, the platform, what you're doing, the messaging of the Quarterback Dadcast. I think this is such a cool perspective. So I'm very appreciative to be a part of it.
Oh, well, awesome. Well, we should give a little love to my boy, your boy, Billy Burke, who I heard you on his show, and then I reached out to you on, I think, Twitter or something, and I said, God, I'd love to have you on my show. So if you're a quarterback or a man just a man or woman of sports, check out Bill's podcast. It's really cool. He's interviewed some really cool people, and the stories he's get people talk about and life of what it means to be quarterback. Definitely a cool podcast to check out too.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed it. He, again, it's great to talk to guys that play quarterback position because we share such a unique perspective. So yeah, anytime I get a chance to do something like this, obviously with Bill before and you now, it's kind of a cool different perspective that we get to probably share a lot of commonality. So that was really cool before, and I'm loving this.
This is going to be fun. All right. So we always start every episode with gratitude. So I want to know, Chris, what are you most grateful for as a father today?
As a father, man, I it's you as a parent, you worry so much about your kids and as they get older. I mean, when they're young, it's like bumping their head, sticking their finger in a light socket. But man, when they get older, it's like, okay, at some point you just gotta just sit back and appreciate, because I've got I've got kids that are 25 and 23, and I've got a 13-year-old now, and such just every piece of the growing up aspect and watching and appreciating, God, just another life form that you're so severely a part of and leading. And it's hard to pinpoint just one specific thing, but just every single level of life as you see them grow. I'm just so appreciative of the whole process.
Love it. You're as you're saying that, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm thinking about the word present, which is a word we've talked about to a lot of dads on this show. And I think to have that level of gratitude, what you just described, takes ability to be present and just appreciate where they are, maybe not where you want them to go, but where they are now. Yeah.
Just I couldn't even imagine not being present. I mean, don't get me wrong. I travel a lot, and there's a couple things I miss, but like for instance, we've got this weekend an Elite 11 golf tournament. It's our second annual Elite 11 golf tournament, and I've got to miss 2 days of it. But at least I get out there Friday. But I'm coming back first thing Saturday to my daughter's dance competition. So it's just seeing things like that and seeing them be successful and not missing those moments is definitely important.
That's so cool. I can't wait to dive in on that. So my gratitude, I'm grateful. So like I said, we're on April 19th. This weekend, my daughter and I, we're going coast to coast. She and I are traveling to Virginia for an AAU basketball tournament.
That is awesome. When you say coast to coast, does that mean you guys are road tripping it?
No, we're flying. So if we go Seattle to all the way out back to Virginia. We leave Thursday morning, and there's 9 girls on our team, and we're going to be playing, AAU clubs from all over the nation. It's going to be fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's another thing that I super appreciate. And I know other parents love it. They get to do these, weekend tournaments, and it's much like, the camp series where I met Bill doing the QB Universe tour. We were in, I think that one was in St. Louis, but all these parents, they get there and they actually enjoy not just the camaraderie of the other parents, but, maybe having a drink or two and sitting there relaxing. And it's actually a relaxing weekend for them to a degree, not for the kids maybe because they're working their tails off. But same thing with my daughter's dance competitions. Like when they, go to another location, do nationals, whatever. It's actually a pretty cool weekend. Not just a one and done, it's different things that are happening throughout the weekend. I enjoy those.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, I want to dive into the Hixson huddle, and you've shared some teammates. You got 25, 23, and 13, but I want to hear about who's in the full huddle. We got spouse, we got kids. Maybe talk a little bit about each player on the team.
So I'll start off with my wife. She's amazing. She is, we actually met when I was playing. She was the dance team, she was the captain of the dance team. And I wanted to move back when I was done playing. I wanted to move back to Arizona, Phoenix. I just thought the people there were the coolest people on earth. And anyway, I guess this would be the second last team I played with here in Georgia. Next thing you know is I meet her and my mom lived here, my sister, my brother, and eventually my dad came back here as well. And her mom lived here, and I was like, oh, man, well, there goes Phoenix. But, so I got to tell you, I mean, she's, as most spouses are, they're just unreal. Like, she's an unbelievable person, team player to the T's. She always puts herself in the back. It's always, everybody else's goals and wants. She's definitely always taking care of the family. She's amazing. Her name is Zeri. So she is just, she's unbelievable. And, then, my oldest daughter, she is, 25. She would be textbook street smart. She is, unbelievable, quick-witted, funny as heck. once she gets herself like super organized and finds the profession she wants to go into, she'll dominate. It's going to be awesome. She's going to be fantastic in that. So my son, he's an interesting man. He was the smartest guy in 3 different areas coming out of high school in math. In fact, one of those was not just peers, but it was also peers and professors. Smartest guy in the country in math in 3 different areas, which was just impressive. Then he goes on to MIT. He just graduated about a year and a half ago. I guess that'd be 2 years ago now. And just an extremely bright young man. And it's funny, guys that are typically that smart, they don't communicate well. But he is hilarious. And he's an extrovert. He's out there. He's always got a joke. And a lot of them are math jokes, and they're hilarious. So it's funny. And then my daughter, my youngest daughter, who is she is the sweetest, funniest girl. She photobombs every photo. It's hilarious. So yeah, those are the main players right there.
Love it. Now, you mentioned dance? Did you pass any of your like celebration end zone skills to her?
Casey, you remember Coach would say, "Hey, act like you've been there before."
Oh yeah.
That's pretty much was my end zone dance. Ball back to the ref. Back to business. I don't think anybody would want to see that. It was funny. I've seen a few of my teammates though do some funny stuff, like the flip over the goal line, things like that. It's just I've seen a lot of cool things, but no, I didn't pass anything on. She got my wife's dancing skills for sure.
There we go. Actually, this is a random story I'm going to share. I don't know why I'm thinking of it. So I coached my son's like 8-9-year-old flag football team. He's a flag guy for 5 years. Never played tackle football, which I was like, didn't bug me. I'm almost glad he didn't, based on how beat up my body was at the end when I got done playing. But this was right when like Victor Cruz was kind of popular earlier. And so because my son's name is Rod, he catches like a touchdown, spikes it, and goes into the Victor Cruz salsa dance as like a 9-year-old in flag football. And I'm like, what in the F? In my mind, I'm like, and everyone starts laughing. I remember looking at my buddy. I'm like, I had to go. I said, Ryder, man, heck of a catch. Dude, way to go. I go, do you want 2? If you do the Victor Cruz dance ever again, you're done. Like, we got to hand the ball to the ref, man. Exactly. But pretty funny seeing a 9-year-old break that thing out in the middle of a flag game.
Oh, that is hilarious. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me I want to learn a little bit how you grew up. Like talk about how your parents impacted you, and maybe share a few lessons that you learned from them now that you're a father.
Well, I actually, it's a great question. One thing, my dad, hard worker, disciplined, consistent, made all the games, but yet worked his tail off and was extremely successful. And I mean, just from a toughness aspect, from a being relentless aspect, and he was big in judo. He was, pretty much, he was definitely nationally known. He was a alternate on the Pan American Games. I mean, yeah, he was really good. So he understood sports. He never got in the way. He let the coaches coach. Always gave me the best opportunity. If I wanted it, he would keep providing whatever was necessary for me to be successful. So, man, and it's interesting because I just what was it, Father's Day, got some of the things that stuck out to me from this book of. In fact, it sits right here. What I love about Dad, and there's like it says, I love how you're so passionate about what you do in football, and and what that did to me as I'm assessing the words I just shared is, associating that back to those different disciplines of my dad. Being passionate, and it's thank God I love it because it doesn't act like work to me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's one of the things that my dad carried on My mom definitely passed on organization to me. The way that she, it was like my job to fold the clothes. Once she put the clean clothes on the bed, I would have to fold them and then I'd put them in. And if they weren't, I tried the trick of like taking the clothes and just putting them in there as is into the drawers. And next thing you know is she'd find that, and her arms looked like the blow up thing in front of the car wash or whatever, the arms going everywhere. Yeah. And then I got smart and I folded just the top two. So I'd cover the wadded up ones. She caught on to that fairly quick. And anyway, just being organized, make sure that I keep things the way they should be, keep a standard, kind of like, I forget the officer's name. He used to be in charge of the SEAL team, the SEALs program. And he gave at University of Texas, he was just talking about hospital corners, make your bed, it's a small accomplishment to do things, the small details, start off the day in a right way. And if the day is crap, you come home to a made bed. Right. So,
yep.
But just start off with the positive step being accomplished. And so I definitely got that from my mom, and she'd probably tell you, my wife too, I could be better today still, but I can only imagine if I didn't have some foundation of that.
Love it. Now tell me, what did mom and dad do for their line of work?
So my dad was in the car business. He had a few dealerships in Texas. Then we were out in California, then Washington. By the way, I also went to Bellevue High School. I transferred out. I would, halfway through my sophomore year, after my junior year, halfway through my junior year. Okay. So I went to Eastside and Bellevue, but anyway, yeah. So he was in the car business forever. And that was the deal. My mom didn't work, but actually she got into logistics later. She was in logistics for airline for shipments.
Okay.
So she was into that for about 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So I'm definitely intrigued and I'm curious. And I think curiosity is one of the most undervalued skill sets in life. In the work I'm doing now as a leadership coach for companies and sales teams, it's like there's a guy I found, old school French philosopher named Voltaire. He has a quote, a little sexist because he didn't say women, but he said, "A man is not judged by his or her answers, but by his or her questions." And so when you get people to think, I think that's how you become memorable, is by not, and so that's one thing I'm trying to teach my kids. It's just like be insight, like it's not about you. Right. And I think the best quarterbacks, I know this speaks to you, but the best quarterbacks, they're always humble. It's not about you. It's about team first. We get credit. Quarterbacks get way too much credit. You get sometimes way too much negativity too, but that's kind of the responsibility of. And so like, as you think about like that from a dad's perspective, the position of quarterback, maybe talk about some things that you've learned that really are lessons that you've passed on to your kids, regardless of whatever they're doing. But like, the role of a quarterback and the life lessons you learned, or like maybe talk about one or two things that really stood out for you now that you are a father.
Well, it's funny. These are going to be a couple of things that kind of make you say, man, if I could go back, if I only knew this, then, and typically when I talk to these other quarterbacks, I basically tell them, this is me talking to my younger self. So if I get frustrated with you, whatever, it's no different than how I would speak to my younger self. And a couple of those things, man, that stand out to me, and I've made quotes about them. One quote I wrote, probably about 7 years ago was, being average is free. Being good comes from average effort, and being great comes from what nobody else is willing to do. And, prospectively sitting there going, man, if I could have just gone back and really understood how units of opportunity work and opportunity to get better, right? So that from creating a plan to achieve a goal, and then, and then execution on that plan, it's funny, these perspectives, I got like 4 of them. If you're in an interview and the guy interviewing you has your resume, does he expect, you to outperform your resume? No. And those are all the things that led you up to the seat you're in. Lightning doesn't strike and say, oh, you're going to be this awesome. No, it's all this work that needs to stand in your wake saying this is why you are where you are. And if that's true, it's just math, right? It's reps multiplied by an effective, accurate plan and being passionate and present in each rep. That compounds it. And if it's just a mathematical deal, you don't know exactly what rep count it's going to be for you to be the starter, for you to get a scholarship. All you know is, man, you just got to utilize every opportunity, every unit of opportunity. So when I look back, man, it's all about this, this formula that helps maximize the true potential in somebody. And that's the deal to me. I think that's the ultimate. And if there's anything I pass to my own kids, it's that mathematical formula that says goal is preceded by all this work to achieve, right? And it's just math. I love this one too. RPMs, reps multiplied by passion, being passionate about every rep and having the right map, RPMs. And we talk about that all the time. And your approach, this one I say this probably every time I stand up and speak, your approach to anything is everything. I mean, those are my critical soapbox, points for somebody to carry out from whenever I get a chance to coach them, including my kids.
Love when you said approach. So we're going to go Uncle Rico, me and you real quick. So we think of it, and if people don't know Uncle Rico, we're referencing Napoleon Dynamite, and this podcast has nothing to do with football, but it sometimes has all to deal with football, specifically when I get to talk to another quarterback. But approach, I love that, man, because think about as a dad, think about a business leader. If I enter my workforce with a bad attitude, well, the culture is my fault, not the team's fault. When I enter the huddle with not belief that the play we called is going to work, even if I don't think it's going to work, buy into it, believe it, bring positivity to the huddle so that they believe in you. And then as a dad, if I've had a shitty day and I come home with that mindset by bringing it into the kid and the kids are so excited to see dad, well, that's not their fault. That's our fault.
Right.
So that's what you when you said approach, man, that was the first thing that spoke to me. It was just that mindset we bring to our huddle at home that you have control over it, dads, whether you want to believe so or not. And it's hard, man. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about that for a second. I mean, it's so funny how quickly a good mood can change when somebody negative walks into the room. And so when you do come home and you got the right mindset, you only just, bring the environment up. And man, if it was a bad day and you let that affect your walk through the door, it just brings the whole family down.
Totally. It made me think, when I was early in my business career, I remember I'd hear NFL quarterbacks say, whether dad threw 4 picks or had a good game or bad game, my 2-year-old, they don't know. They just want to see dad. And that always hit home for me because it's not like my son at 3 is going to say, Dad, hey, how'd you type today? What were your speeds at? How'd you fill the coffee? Was it good? Right? Did you park pretty good, Dad? He didn't care. But and that's why we have to realize that we're not that important. We think we are. And I always joke with people I work with, did you change your phone number to 911? Oh, you didn't? So you're not that important, right? We're all replaceable, whether we want to think so or not. The world goes on. I spent 20 years at a company and they're doing better than they've ever done without me. Right. And I was our top performer for 10 years. So they're doing something right. And we're all replaceable. So as soon as we kind of check that ego, teach our kids that ego is, Ryan Holiday, the author, says, ego is the enemy. It's powerful stuff to be thinking about. What is as you think about your playing career, is there a coach or whether college, high school, or pro that really impacted you through life lessons that you share with your kids?
For sure, my college coach, Floyd Keith. He had oh my gosh, he's gonna kill me if I don't remember this. PPP, plan positive attitude, PPA. It was planned, positive attitude, like again, planned, right? Approach. So he would ingrain, in fact, I mean, he, for quite some time, he's been doing that for 10 years where he'll go speak to companies but it's all the same fundamentals and points that he would deliver to us, and it was just planned, positive attitude. And he had these different perspectives of how you could take from and apply to basically everything. Obviously apply it to, just like we talk about family and having a great attitude when you walk through the door. But Floyd Keith was huge to me. He was definitely the most impactful coach-wise for me. Consistent, again, hard worker. All college coaches are just, obviously, they work their tails off. The hours are unbelievable. And from systems of the offensive systems to just how you run your daily life and the advice that he gave. He was definitely impactful.
Was he your head football coach?
He was my head coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was my head coach, OC, and quarterback coach.
Wow.
But he coached Trent Green at Indiana. He was the OC there for 7 years, I think. And prior to, he also was out in San Francisco.
Hey everybody, it's Casey Jacox. I want to take a quick break to talk about my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafoods, who continue to be just an amazing, loyal sponsor. And for those of you who've tried it, thank you. For those of you who haven't, you're missing out. And now's the time to make sure that you visit CatchSitkaSeafoods.com and get some of those amazing smoked salmon. Get some of that amazing rockfish, blackfish, black cod, salmon, whatever it might be, whatever you like. But what's great about opportunities they have, now's the time to subscribe to a box so that you're going to get that reliable cadence of the best fish directly from the dock to the doorstep. And what's great about Catch Sitka Seafoods, they make it so easy. So those that maybe aren't the best chefs at home, doesn't matter. They're going to give you this beautiful, nice laminated recipe card that tells you exactly how long to cook it, whether you're going to barbecue, you're going to bake, you're going to fry, whatever the way you want to do it, they're going to make it easy. So please visit them today, CatchSitkaSeafoods.com. Sign up for a subscription so that you're going to get the best fish delivered directly to your door. You won't regret it. And just like my daughter Riley says, Dad, I don't even like fish. And she does now because of my friends up at Catch Sitka Seafoods. So with that, let's get right back to today's episode.
For like 3 training camps or something like that. So he got to spend a lot of time with Joe Montana and Steve Young and Bill Walsh. And so some of the characteristics of what he would teach and offensive system came a lot from the 49ers. So anyway, just, he was amazing. G McDowell was awesome. I got to spend 6 months with him. He was, I think he was Florida State's very first All-American. And then he was head coach at UCF for 14 years, I think. He's the guy who took them D1. Anyway, tremendous person. Loved playing for him. Super smart. He taught me how to truly break down a defense in the office, charting them, building out tendencies and things like that. And I've utilized that so much. And built on top of that. So that was significant in my learning. But, I think all coaches are amazing, especially at college. Most coaches are just tremendous individuals, and they inspire so much because you have to listen to them. So they've got your attention, and they give off all these characteristics that are, how football is. Football is like dog years. You experience life so much faster, and life lessons like every day, every week, is either, up, down, but, like a family, you're shoulder to shoulder with all these guys you're blood, sweating, and tearing with. There's no one else I've spent more time with in my life than my team. And now it's transitioned a bit. Now I spend all my time, I'm here at the house constantly. I work from here mainly outside of traveling to camp. So it's kind of the same thing, but, anyway, just a lot of great life lessons from Coach Keith and Coach McDowell.
What would be some of if you had to really describe what those life lessons were, like in like either characteristics or words or experiences that you've shared with your kids? Tell me what comes to mind.
Well, being disciplined, I think there's so much walking the walk is more important than word in the word, right? So, um, walking the walk is just being consistent. So, yeah, being disciplined, consistency. That was Coach Keith's, and plan positive attitude. It's hard to like drill down and say, these are the three main fundamental characteristics he taught. But just watching hard work ethic, be willing to pass out, attempting a goal, right? Be willing to go with as much effort as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Toughness, being physical. Life has a lot of curveballs, and you just got to be able to, deal with it and be and be that that halftime adjustment. Being flexible but firm towards your goal, and if you're, I don't know, man, it's just a hard thing to go after that one characteristic, but I think toughness is probably a big one. Being disciplined and consistent is another one.
I love
those.
Those
are probably the two mains.
You said some earlier too. You talked about practice and reps. You said reps, which I immediately thought of practice and practice. I don't know if you see it in your line of work, but in the corporate world, practice is not sexy, and no one wants to practice, and they just want to wing it. And I love using, as I think about like back to my days, Uncle Rico, when I played football at Division II school called Central Washington, and like my coach never let me skip practice and just show up on game day. NFL doesn't skip practice and show up on game day, but yet in the corporate world, we can just wing it and show up, and then we wonder why we're not doing great. And so like when I get chances to practice at the house, whether I'm speaking, like I'll come in my office and I'll tell I'll purposely will tell the kids, hey, Dad's got to go practice, guys. You got a big presentation coming up. Because not only do I want to selfishly, I want to make sure that I present and do well and serve the people that are bringing me in, but I want my kids to see that I'm not full of shit. And I'm just like, if I ask them to go to the driving range or go shoot hoops, cause that's what they want to do, that I want to build, like exactly what you said, walk the walk of like, okay, if Dad's saying this, was he doing it? Yeah, I am.
Right. Oh man. I can't imagine. One of the most bothersome things is like in this camp style scenario, and this goes for practices, normal practice with the team as well. I can't tell. You tell a kid something when he does a rep, you coach him up and say, hey, you should have done it this way. He goes back to the line and he doesn't do anything before his next rep. It drives me up the wall, and comes back and it's his next rep, and he commits the same issue. And it's just like, oh, okay. All right, listen, let's understand how to practice. Like I love when Coach, it's on the tip of my tongue, Mike, he was with the Jets, and Vinny Testaverde was the backup to Pennington. And Vinny was Canales, Coach Mike Canales. And so Vinny would be behind 15 yards as the play's getting run, and he'd be dropping back, going through the same checks and reads, as the play's getting run. And, it's just years ago, but he asked him, he said, Vinny, what are you doing? He's like, listen, if there's an opportunity to have a somewhat of a real rep, there's no use in wasting it.
Yep.
If you want to be at the top of your game, you've got to be able to utilize useful reps. And because as well as I do, like there's some applications that aren't super effective, but that's one of the most effective ones right there. You got 11 guys going on 11 guys as an extremely useful rep, and every quarterback should be doing it. And so I tell my guys all the time, this is something you got to be able to do. So I can't imagine going into the corporate world trying to be the best of the best and not having the best approach, because how could you expect the best results if your practice isn't meeting up with the same level of goal?
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense.
It's not. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it's common sense, yet not commonly practiced. And so I think dads, if you're listening, hopefully you are taking notes like I am right now. help our kids. Let's fix that problem. Let's talk about consistency. Let's talk about discipline. These successful outcomes aren't just going to happen, right? And be coachable. Help our kids become coachable. And I wrote down in quotes, don't waste a useful rep. That's a great advice for us as fathers. If we got a chance to teach and coach, expect what we inspect, but like let our kids know these things. And I think I've learned, Chris, I don't know if this speaks to you, but sometimes when we're coaching, whether it's my clients or my kids, if I lead with my own gaps or failure first to disarm them, to remove fear from like the environment, they're much more coachable versus if I'm always like sitting on my pedestal, telling them what to do, what not to do.
It definitely provides a lot of realism, like some same playing level, like, hey, I've had this issue before. You explain some of the failure, and here's a way to skip over that and be better, faster, whatever it is. But yeah, that's definitely a great approach. I mean, I'm thinking about putting together, like, by this conversation, some of the different key points I think have arisen is, be present, even if your body is, be present inside your body. I mean, a lot of people can be in the room, but mentally not be there.
Yeah.
So be present.
Yeah.
And to be present after you've accomplished that, next thing is to, with great attention, just build out like some sort of formula to being the best dad in the world is, man, your approach always differs too, depending on what the scenario is. But just, be present, communicate with, heart, mind, and soul. And I mean, you really, after that, it's like nothing can go wrong. I mean, I shouldn't say that. There was some wood. But
right.
yeah, but I mean, dude, it's such a powerful position to be a dad. I mean, you're actually leading. I got to say this. One of the cool like aspects, and Joey's always been about this. Joey Roberts from Elite 11. He does such a great job in talking to the younger Elite 11 guys. And this year's, actually past couple years, but he's been talking about what the game of football really requires out of this position. And for some crazy, weird reason, quarterbacks are put on the pedestal and they're considered a leader from day one. And good, bad, or indifferent, it's just kind of the way it is. And his big deal is, the best component to a leader is a servant heart and attitude.
Love that.
And when you serve others, like I always ask this question to re-support what Joey had just talked about, because I usually go next in speaking. When you serve your teammates and obviously your family, it's the same thing. And you're not selfish about things. You're not the me guy with a bunch of thumbs, right? Pointing back at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you serve everybody and you get in the huddle and you say, "Hey, this is the drive. This is the one. We've got to deliver on this drive. Let's put it in the end zone. All right, here's the play, right?" And then you get started. If you're the guy that's servant, those guys will go through fire way faster and stronger for you than if you were the guy that's super selfish, don't hang out with the team, it's all about you. You look at those two different types of quarterbacks, like the Jeff George, right? Obviously, he had plenty of issues. He was more of the me guy, big, crazy attitude. And the only reason he was around was because he had this unreal arm. Unreal arm. It's the only reason. If he was an average NFL guy, he'd have been out way before that. So yeah, being a servant leader is such a great approach to being the kind of guy your team needs.
And your attitude is what you control too.
What's that?
You can control your attitude.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's I teach my kid, like I learned this from when a coach. They said there's two things you got control over: your attitude and your effort. Everything else is out of your control. Hard work doesn't cost anything. Right?
Yeah, that's been a big social piece here this past few months. I've been watching the things that you can control. Basically, those are the aspects.
Mm-hmm.
All the other things, man, is you hope for the lineup of good things, but it just is what it is.
I love servant heart and attitude. I love that because it speaks to me. I had this like phrase hit me this year, Chris, about like around the word servant, which is like the metaphor of a boomerang, right? You throw enough boomerangs, they're going to come back. But the best leaders, best dads, best quarterbacks, they're throwing boomerangs, they're serving others, but they're not keeping score.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not keeping score because they know that by doing the right thing, treating people the way they want to be treated, walking the walk like you talked about earlier, you're going to get people to go through, do anything for you.
100%. And you know, every situation gives its own requirements. Sometimes the situation needs a stand-up guy. Just yesterday, this practice, we're practicing to get a script down for all these college coaches to watch this quarterback, and we had 3 wide receivers there, and it was unreal, like how they were just goofing off, joking throughout the practice, and I lost my temper, you know, and the situation didn't need somebody to soften the blow. It needed to like hard hit with a bat the situation and tell them to get their, you know, shit together. Yeah. And bottom line is every situation deserves its own thing, but there's consistent characteristics that are important and in play throughout the whole relationship of your team. They have to understand, you know, hey, this guy is a servant leader, but at the same time, when the situation needs someone to stand up and just say, guys, let's get it together and let's go. Yeah. You might have seemed like some sort of jerk for a little bit, but they understand really who your bottom line is. So it's not to sit there and say we're soft cakes, you know, or anything like that. It's just that we have a consistent characteristics throughout. And I think the same thing with the family. It's so funny how quarterbacking, every dad is basically a quarterback of their family. Yep. You know, and it's just
the wife's the general manager.
Yeah. You don't want her to get into a talent trying to replace you. All of a sudden, personnel changes being made. Yeah, you got to make sure you take care of everything and do your job. Otherwise, you get the wife going.
I was going to say, you said something that one of my friends, my name Mike Betts, early in my dad game, he said, Case, one of the best piece of advice he got, they shared with me is, and you made me just think of it now, is you are what you allow. So if we're having a bad practice, it's bad, but whose fault is that? Is it the quarterback? Is it the coaches? Yeah. I mean, sure, you have 3 guys acting like morons, but why are they allowed to act like morons if no one's going to police it? And so I think, like, you know, as I think about another example as relates to fatherhood, my kids' buddies when I grew up, I mean, when I was an newer dad, they said, oh, we can't go out to dinner with our kids because they act like idiots. So whose fault's that? All right. I mean, I'm like, I hate to call you out, bro, but like if you let your kid huck hot dogs at each other at the dinner table at home, then wonder why they act like morons when you try to have them act normal inside the restaurant. Like, but if you teach those things, it might take a week to get it right. But if you get it right, then you can go out to dinner like most normal human beings and enjoy a meal outside.
100%.
You know,
I mean, the words have never been clear.
Right. You've mentioned Elite 11 a couple of times. Tell me how you got involved with them.
Well, Elite 11 back in the day for me, I would, you know, once in a while go and donate time. So it was, you know, just they would come to town. I'd go and do it. And it's obviously for quarterbacks who are growing up, they want to go through it. It's like the QB Mecca, right? It's like, it's where they want to go through. They want to go to the regional, see if they can make the final, the Elite 11 finals. And so it's a really cool camp series, and they do a really cool show, you know, shows of kind of the year. It tells the story of it, and it's every quarterback's goal. But when I partnered up with Trent 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I can't remember. It was somewhere in there. So now every quarterback that goes through there gets tested through QBIQ. I basically go and teach the academy kids. You know, there's a better way to read defenses than what, you know, the old traditional way, which is still utilized today. We've got I'm trying to get that better. There's a reason, Tom Brady is making his decisions a half second faster than the NFL average of 3 seconds. And that's my goal, is to teach everybody what he's using, not what the backups in the NFL are using, because they're not using what I'm talking about. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning are using what I'm talking about. So anyway, that's what QBIQ is, and that's what these guys. So I come to Elite 11 and basically been on tour with those guys for 4 years. I think this is my 4th year, and teach them that system.
Very cool. That's gonna be fun. Trent Dilfer, I saw a random Trent Dilfer story. When he was with the Seahawks, this was actually really sad when his youngest son passed away. And that was when he was here in Seattle. And I remember I worked at a building kind of near the Seahawks headquarters at the time. And I remember seeing him, and I think it was like our punter at the time. And we used to go to this little teriyaki joint in Kirkland, Washington. I remember I'd see him there, and I always wanted to go like say something. I never did, just because I didn't want to be that guy. But I was always amazed how he handled that. And I was like, that's every parent's worst nightmare ever, thinking about that day when you lose a child before you pass. And so that's got to be a pretty cool experience, being able to partner alongside of him and seeing the work, because he's now, I think, coaching in Tennessee or someplace. Or
Yep, Lipscomb Academy. They just won state championship over Ingle Martin. Who Ingle, it's hilarious. Day one, when Trent got there, we were talking about Ingle and how CPA is the like their rival almost. They had, I think, 13 or 14, it might have been 17 players that go to Lipscomb Academy's Sunday services, but they go to CPA for football or for school. And it's kind of funny how Ingle had taken players, but I think what they've done is they've done a good job in getting those players back and getting good talent to consistently come through Lipscomb, and they just beat the doors off Ingle in the state championship. So yeah, it's definitely I know he feels that he's doing good service to the game,
sure,
being able to affect just a community of people. I know he felt Elite 11 was another good thing that he was doing, or he is doing. But he really is able to get into people's lives, their daily lives, and really make, ingrained differences in them. And so I know he's enjoying that. And that going back to that story about his son, listening to him tell the story is heart-wrenching. And I've heard it a couple times, but just as a speaker, he is so infectious, and he is an amazing speaker. I remember I heard him talk about culture at the AFCA, and that was just that's just, again, he's wide span on what he can talk about, and he is just a really engaging speaker. So it's fun to listen to speak, and he's got a good perspective on things, because having his son pass away and not having a good perspective, man, you would go into a tailspin.
Yep. Wow. Okay, so one of the questions I always like asking, so we're going to watch film here, quarterback metaphor, and we're going to watch film of us as dads. And so as you think about an area of your dad game, in all the previous games you played that you're looking to get better, you're looking to improve on, what would be an area of your dad game that maybe it might speak to other dads at home to make them realize, hey, I'm going through that same thing. Like I'll go first. For me, it's patience. Patience is my gap.
Well, I feel like I
have to be very.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. It glitched out. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
So for me, what's funny is I felt like I just did like a review probably about 2 months ago. And I said, I need to do more special time with my daughter outside of just, like, taking your daughter on a date and having fun, having the good interaction, so she knows how to expect a relationship when she gets older.
Yeah.
And so every Wednesday we do this for a few hours. Like, I pick her up from school and we go 3 hours and we go do something fun. And I think we did bowling this past Wednesday, but it was, just something different. to change up just coming home and being at the house. So that's something important. I work basically second shift. So I've analyzed, how could I do more with the family as well? So like totally devoted Mondays, because typically Mondays are they're not a non-work day, but I get done early about 4 or 5 o'clock, and I keep that whole night open. Just second shift is tough for a family because it's typically when everybody else can eat, have dinner, be around the table.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we've adjusted a little bit. So this is actually a little bit of a review of my review, right? And instead of, there's definitely there's more things. I mean, I could definitely cut earlier off work because, typically you know what another one is? My wife has gotten started on these Netflix shows, and it's so hard for me to get into it. I need to find one that she would enjoy, I would enjoy, and get like a consistent deal there.
There you go.
But yeah. So I love a great question. And it's funny because for so many years, I felt like when I started looking at that a couple months ago, I felt like I hadn't done a review of myself, and so it's a great question, and actually just put myself under review here lately. So that's good.
There we go. Love it, man. Well, I think, and I think as we as dads, we can check our ego and know that we all have gaps and teach our kids that it's okay to have gaps. But like one of my mentors, John Kaplan, said, it's okay not to know every answer, just not okay not to do anything about it. And that always spoke to me about just making sure we admit our gaps, but then fix them. And like Chris talked earlier, don't waste a useful rep. Like if you get coached, fix it. Don't do the same mistake twice. So, all right, as we get ready to wrap up here and go into what I call the lightning round, as you think about like summarizing our conversation today of things we've talked about, things that have stood out, things that have spoke to you, how would we summarize what we've talked about to help dads at home take what we've talked about and put it into use and to become that ultimate quarterback or leader of their home? Tell me what comes to mind.
Oh man, let's get this 2-minute elevator speech together. Here we go. So, being present, being consistent. Dads are the leaders of the team, and at the same time, it's not a commanding leadership, authoritarian type leadership. It's the servant heart leadership that I think are the important components to take away. Being consistent, creating. I love the review that we just talked about. Reviewing, what you've done, how it can get better. I feel like those are the things. Analyzing ourselves is really, really important because we can become a lot more effective. And I think that's kind of the center point. Don't waste a useful rep. I mean, we threw out like probably 10 quotes, you and me, that need to be like on the front page of newspapers.
Here we go. Let's get a billboard, man. Me and you. So I forgot to ask, tell me about this Golden Helmet Award you won.
Oh, the Golden Helmet Award, I think is given out to the best Yankee conference, or was it East Coast? Was it ECSA? I think it was ECSA. So anyway, best East Coast offensive player of the year, I think, is what the Golden Helmet winner. I think I was the second one in Rhode Island history to get it. It was pretty cool. I think, what was that guy's name from Boston College? I was in the awards thing. ECSA was giving out 2 awards, that one and his. And I can't remember what he got. But anyway, yeah, just offensive, stats or something like that. It was pretty cool award. I can't remember exactly its makeup. Man, that's a long time ago. I got hit too many times in the head, I guess.
I kind of sarcastically joke with my kids and my buddies about CTE brain a little bit. Like my memory, I'm 46, and I swear, like I has to be, because I know that. Now we're going to sound really old by this statement, but I know that you and I, when we played, the hits we took in the 90s were a lot different than the quarterbacks' hits they take now.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I should have been arrested.
Yeah, those guys talk about it all the time. It's almost like the stats today should have an asterisk, because the toughness requirement back then, I mean, it was way different. It was bar brawl rules. It was like literally Coliseum type stuff. Totally different thing. That's why Tom Brady sits there and says, I can keep playing because of the way that the rules are the way that they're set now. It's not as physical of a requirement.
Yeah, so true. Okay, I love this, man. Okay, so lightning round, this is when I go completely random. It's inside the head of a screw loose quarterback to the inside of a screw loose quarterback together, both of us. And my job is to get a giggle out of you. Your job is to answer these as quickly as you can. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. True or false? Your 40 is 4.3.
False.
Okay. True or false? Your bench press once was over 300 pounds.
True.
Nice. Strong QB. That a boy. If you were to go anywhere on vacation right now, where are you going?
Skiing.
Okay.
Snow.
There we go. Love that. Are we thinking like ski jump? Are we moguls or bunny hill?
I used to, back in the day, man, I used to teach.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
We were 45 minutes away from Snoqualmie Pass, man. We'd be on that bus right after school was out.
That's right. Me and my wife, that's where I first met her on the ski bus ride home.
Are you serious?
I can't talk about what happened on the bus, but
that's right.
Keep that.
What happens on the bus stays on the bus.
Keep that on the down low. Tell me your favorite sports movie of all time.
Probably The Program.
Okay. Was it Latimer on that one?
Yeah.
I swear I played with him. I mean, we had a guy just like him.
Are you serious? Yeah. We had a guy very similar, Frank. Gosh dang it! His dad was like one of the. He would be a stunt coordinator for a ton of big movies, right? And this guy was Italian. He would fight anybody. I remember he was yelling at a whole dormitory in his underwear and like 12 o'clock going, "Come out, I'll fight you all." That's crazy. He played for the Giants for about 3 years.
Oh, I love it. If you were to describe 2 words about your wife, what would they be?
Loving and patient.
Okay. If there was a book written about your life, what would be the title?
Man. Not fast, but smart.
There we go. I like that. Now, Chris, this book is starting to make a headway. It's starting to be sold at airports. It's going big. Like they're handing out the Elite 11 at camp. Trent's talking about it. ESPN's picked it up, but now they want to make a movie out of it. So I need to know who's going to play you from Hollywood.
A younger Kevin Costner.
God, I like that. I could see that. You got a little Kevin Costner, a little raspy voice, the beard. I know people at home can't see, but I can. But I could see that happening. He's a good sports movie guy.
Yeah,
you know
he knows about football.
Exactly. All right, I need to know the most. If you can describe it, tell me your most your best throw you've ever made for the audience. To try to describe it back in the day.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'm facing Chip Kelly. I come up his defense. I'm coming up to the line of scrimmage. I could not read the defense. I was like, what the heck is this? And we were running, I think we were running option. So we were in a left out formation, which means my Z is to the left, my tight end is to the left, and my H, my slot is slot to the right, and my X is split to the right. So pretty balanced look. I come up, and being balanced, we should get a really balanced defense. And man, they were in a defense I could not understand. I think it turned out to be cover 1 after I snapped it. But all I knew was, and the wind was getting pushed in our face, and we're on the far hash, we're on the left hash. And I said, I didn't know what this defense is, but I know that's man outside. So I took, and it was a comeback route, 16 back to 14 on the outside to the right. I dropped back, and it was man press out there. I dropped back, took a 5-step gather, just threw the ball. I knew it had to be early because of the wind. And anyway, I threw it, and you look at the release, the receiver still had 2 more steps in the route before he was going to make his break, and the ball's already out of my hand. When he turned around, ball just hit right in, where you want it to hit, and he just took one more step and was out of bounds. And the difficulty range on that, considering how early I threw it, and the questioning of the defense, and I made a very confusing situation really easy by going, I know that's man, and I know I got a hard breaking route. I'm just going to take that. And I made it simple by just cutting out all the BS, all the chicken fat out, and just threw the meat that I knew would be there. So that's probably my best one. My favorite drive, though, is without a doubt against UConn. Skip Holtz. We were it's the best 2-minute offense that Rhode Island's ever had. We ran 11 plays in 1:06, and 11 plays. I think we were 10 of 11. They transitioned into 2-man. I called a mesh route because I saw the 2-man, and so I was so excited about him being open. I threw it before the pick. So I threw it, and he ended up. It turned out to be an actual block because the earliness of the throw. Anyway, and so I ended up taking that in for a score. The rain, 80 yards to go, rain in the face, one timeout. Wind was crazy. It was cold, and that was our best drive. Speaking on some of the things that we've talked about in this time we've had. We practice our tails off on 2-minute during the summer. Like, there's no way we would have had that good of expectation and execution without all the practice. Like, when I say practice, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we would have 2-hour practices throughout the summer. I go up, get the install plan from the coaches, I'd come down. We would finish every practice with 30 minutes of 2-minute. It would be first period of 2-minute would be verbal and signal. Then we go just verbal. Then we end with just silent signal. And we just knew we would always be successful in that. We were more comfortable in that offense in 2-minute than we were in anything else.
Love it. I love that this is like, we're probably in our 40s and you're remembering this like it was yesterday.
Well, what's funny is I couldn't remember the golden helmet thing, but I could remember the drives and who's making the plays, who dropped that one pass. I know who that is too. It was a tight end option route, man. But anyway, yeah, it's just I guess we remember those specific moments pretty well.
I couldn't tell you when the War of 1812 was. I already forgot that. So, dad joke. Anyway, Chris, man, it's been an honor speaking to you. I think what you're doing is great. I was always described as a cerebral quarterback, and one that always had to use my mind to help make maybe my lack of athletic ability or speed be better until that caught up with me. So I think what you're doing, teaching, pre-snap, understand the defense, simplifying it, and just teaching the mental side of the game. Those are skills that are going to help these quarterbacks post football and to help become better leaders. And just hats off to you for what you're doing, man. And again, thank you for spending some time with me. For people that want to learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way I can introduce you to them? How can they learn more about what QBIQ is?
Well, they obviously can go to the website, QBIQsystem.com. All our social is QBIQ System. So those are the easy ways. Those are the easy ways.
I will make sure it's tagged in the show notes of the system. I want to say thanks again to our sponsors for hanging with me and supporting us along this journey, Acme Homes and Catch Sitka Seafoods. You're looking for, actually, I pulled out some fish tonight. I'm going to have that tomorrow before we head to Virginia to a little AAU hoop. But man, good luck to your daughter in the dance competition. Teach her a few of those moves you got.
Yeah. Hey, Casey, thank you very much for having me on. I love, again, this platform and what it's, your messaging is just so on point. And the world needs to hear these kinds of perspectives. And it's just a cool, analogy of what the world's like in a family to what it is in a huddle. I mean, I love it.
I appreciate it, man. Well,
thank you again.
It's fun serving others. People ask me why I do this, and I said because I get to use my curiosity. I get to meet some really cool people, and I literally, my sponsor just help pay the bills of the podcast. I don't make money doing this, but I get so much joy out of it because it helps me be a better dad. I feel like I get therapy every time I talk to another dad. So, thanks for being a part of my journey in season 3.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Yep.